Hey, all, Boogie Night here, and whew, I need a steak after watching that movie. so, what can I say about the Green Inferno? Not much really to say. It's an Eli Roth movie. That's all you really need to know about it. If you've seen one Eli Roth movie, you've seen them all. It's pretty much all the same. They just switched up from Eastern Europe to South America. Instead of killing for jollies, you're killing by a bunch of cannibals. There's really not much to point out about it. It's honestly, take Hostel, and instead of a group of backpackers looking for jollies, look for a group of activists going to South America. There you go. I mean, if you like a good gorefest horror movie that really has no plot or character development, this is the flick for you. If you're looking for something of more substance, I wouldn't even think about buying this, whether Redbox or Netflix or anything like that. It's just... it was almost laughable about it. I mean, there was maybe one scene where I kind of grimaced, but that was about it. The characters are just stereotypical Eli Roth, egotistical, douchey, idiots with all egos and no brains whatsoever, except maybe the one token straight person that actually has some semblance that they think they know what they're doing. Everybody else was just really deplorable, and towards the end of it, I was actually cheering on the cannibals, but we'll get to that point. So, plot in a nutshell, you have Justine, who's at Columbia University. She is the daughter of some bigwig person, I think, for the UN. She becomes embroiled in being a social activist. So her friends, led by the king of all douches, Alejandro, go down to the Amazon, I think Peru, to stop a group of loggers from tearing down the forests, stereotypical, and keep the natives from losing their homes. So they fly down there to Peru, I believe, once again, to stop these people. And I kid you not, when they happen upon the loggers, one of the characters goes, "Where are our weapons?" just in case these guys open fire. And the other guy, I think it was Alejandro, don't quote me on it, that's how bad this movie was. I zoned out through half of it. He literally holds this thing like, "This is our weapon." Yes, because cell phone shooting footage is really going to go up against a gun. I mean, I've heard of a gun into a knife fight, but a cell phone into a gunfight? No, not going to happen. So, they see the loggers, they start protesting, and the loggers, like any group of people go out there, they have their own PMC, right, their own privateering military company that comes to their defense with guns and open fires. Luckily, the local Smokies come out and arrest the loggers and let the people go. Because, that's really logical. But wait, after that, it gets even better. So they get on the plane with their cell phone footage and take off. Plane gets shot down. And this is when the death sequences start to get hilarious. Things are zany. The guys get off the plane. One of the characters gets too close to the propeller and obviously gets destroyed. And it was just so stupid and over the top. I mean, honestly, I think Clive Barker is probably just shaking his head. He's going, "You should have called me, Eli. I'm sorry." I mean, Hellraiser had some kind of schlocky looking death sequences. I mean, but then again, that was years ago. That was decades ago. Death sequences in movies should have gotten a lot better. They really haven't. I mean, you could have obviously honestly just called this movie Hostel: The Next Generation, just because the death sequences were slightly cringeworthy, but for the most part, you're just like, yeah, no, that's all CGI, or that's just completely just propped out. Anyway, so they're trying to figure out how to escape and get back to America from the Amazon, and they all get trank darted from unknown people, and then they get taken by boats to the village of these people. And at this point, if you've seen Cannibal Holocaust or Cannibal Ferox, you pretty much know where things are going to go from here, because these are not the warm, fuzzy natives that Justine and her band of friends thought they were defending. So, aside from cannibals and loggings with PMCs, let's throw racism into the mix. Good job, Eli. As if you couldn't get shunted from any other country like Eastern Europe and Bratislava and Slovakia because of your little portrayal of the natives over there. You're going to get involved and embroiled with the South Americans for portraying all of the natives and indigenous people down there as cannibals and mindless tormentors. Well done, sir, jackass. So they get there, they're locked in a cage. The only likable dude out of the whole group of people gets dragged out of the cage by the natives. And this is the only part where I kind of grimaced a little. Not because of his reaction, but just there were a couple of points where you're thinking, okay, that could be knee-jerk reaction to just seeing it in action. So they start with this guy's tied to the ground, and I guess the mayor of the village, you could call him, and I guess his witch doctor apprentice person, or whoever she was, ritually starts carving out his eyes, and you get right up close and personal with that. I mean, you're right there when she's digging the knife in his socket, pops him out, shows him off to the village. Of course, you know, the protagonists, if you call them, are all freaking out. And she's like, devours the eye. And of course, the entire village is like, yeah, that's awesome. So she does that with both his eyes. And of course, this guy's screaming, legs drumming on the ground, flailing wildly, as if he's going to actually get out of his bonds while she's doing that. And after the eyes, she rips out of his tongue. At this point, you really couldn't think that anything else was going to happen. Nope, chops off arms, legs, and then kills him. And then chops off his head and shows his head off for all to see around the village. I mean, I'm trying to remember what movie. It reminded me a little bit of Vikings, actually. Season 1, when they behead the villager in episode 1, and they hold up his head saying, like, hey, check this action, and the whole village goes nuts. I mean, at this part, I was ready to see Ragnar Lothbrok pop out and go, you must watch it. It's the only way to get to Valhalla. Because that's essentially what it was, albeit more graphic. So, that happens. End scene. Later on, the girls, there were 2 or 3 girls. That's how, I don't remember much about this. The girls get dragged out by the mayor and get tested with some sort of mental instrument, and it discovers that one of the girls was a virgin because he popped her cherry with said instrument. And she gets dragged away for something, some kind of mutilation ceremony, I guess. Back in the cage, they try to find ways to escape. So, honestly, throughout the whole movie, they're trying to find ways to escape. One girl gets out and you don't see her again. Later on, they find out, they get fed what I guess are breakfast by the cannibal people. And they discover, one of the girls discovers a piece of skin at the bottom of her food dish that has her friend or lover, I think they were dating, I'm not 100% sure. Found her a piece of skin with her tattoo. Take your time, you'll figure it out. Oh good, so you're back. She discovers that she ate her friend, paramour, lover, I don't even know what, breaks the bowl that the food was in, and slits her throat. And then one of the other characters, Stoner Dude, decides it's a good idea that if they're going to try to escape, they're going to get the natives high. So they shove weed into her body through the entry wounds, and the natives all get stoned out of their minds. Yeah, that was actually the most amusing part of the movie, because like it was seriously like something Cheech and Chong-y. I mean, I don't watch a lot of... Actually, I don't watch any kind of stoner flicks because I think they're all stupid. But this was kind of like, just watching these guys, I mean, I half expected Sleep's Dope Smoker to start playing somewhere in the background. But, honestly, of course, there was like one or two people that actually got back and broke free and escaped. There's not much really to talk about. I mean, just the death sequences alone are pretty much all you need to know. Main character Justine escapes after the loggers raid the village, even though she's covered in native body and face paint, and she's snapping footage, and she almost gets killed at the end, but she points out that she's actually an American. She gets sent back home, and instead of saying that the natives tried to kill her and succeeded in killing her friends, she says they tried to help her. So in short, she's protecting the little bastards. Only something Michael Bay would do. Anyway, so towards the end, they sequel bait me. She gets a phone call from Captain McDouche, Alejandro, the biggest douche out of all of them, and we'll get to the characters in a second. She gets a phone call from his sister saying that she's found out he's alive, and then you have satellite footage zooming back into the jungle with him standing in the jungle staring into space. So congratulations, Eli Roth. You sequel baited us when there shouldn't have even been his first movie to begin with. Characters, that's the plot in a nutshell. Characters, the only person that I actually cheered on was the main character, Justine, even though she was vapid, and the guy who gets killed right out of the gate because he was actually really cool and actually had a 3-digit IQ. Everybody else was just, you had the hippie chick with her lover, when they get fed by the group of cannibals, and you know they're cannibals, and they give her the food, she says something like, "But I'm a vegan," or "I don't eat meat." Really? You think they're gonna care at all that you are a vegan? They're cannibals. They make me look like a vegetarian. And for most people that know me, that's as far cry from the truth as seemingly possible. Other than that, you have Stoner Guy, who just kind of was there to begin with, and I really kind of couldn't care less about him. That I was really just wanting to just destroy Alejandro. Just because baby's got an ego. And I hate egotistical people to begin with. Even myself. But just the stuff that happens in his whole persona. So of course you know he is going to be alive at the end. Just because that's the way Eli Roth works. But I kid you not, there is one scene in the cage when they're trying to figure out how to escape, and this dude starts cranking his hog. Yeah. Surrounded by death and destruction, and he starts whipping it out. And people ask, what the hell is he doing? He goes, well, sometimes you gotta have a clear head to think about things. So, of course, they start attacking him and just try to throttle him because he's taking time to do this. So what happens? He starts cranking it harder. Well done. Because on top of death and destruction, you have to have porn for himself. Congratulations, Eli Roth. You're going to the Uwe Boll School of Charm. But the death scenes, once again, I keep going back to death scenes because that's all Eli Roth is known for. Other than the one scene with the guy getting his eyes cut out and his tongue cut out and whatnot, everything else was so poorly executed. I mean, there's one scene where one of the guys is tied to a pole, arms and legs I think are broken, and he gets dumped a bunch of ants on him, which I assume are bullet ants, even though bullet ants are strictly in Central America and not South America. but I'm giving Eli Roth too much credit. I think he's actually going to get the animal species right. And the guy's in agony. There are these ant bites and ant stings. But the ants are so poorly done by special effects. It might as well have been like the ants from the old 80s game Ants in My Pants. If you grew up in the 80s, you knew that Hasbro threw out some weird games. And it was seriously, this was like Ants in My Pants. They were just poorly done. It was almost like, it reminded me of when I used to play Ant Simulator, and I guess the early 80s or late 80s, early 90s. That's how bad they were. It just, the propeller scene when the guy gets his head lopped off by the still moving propeller was just, he walks in and like somebody threw a tomato into a fan blade. That's how poor it was done. Just everything about this movie was schlocky and paper thin, and Eli Roth is rapidly turning into the M. Night Shyamalan of the gorefest genre. He had maybe one groundbreaking flick, Hostel. Maybe. I thought that was just a dumb movie to begin with. And most of the movie viewing population would agree with me. But ever since then, it was just hostile cookie cutter. Idiotic, egotistical frat people that have no brains and not thinking beyond their next 30 seconds about when they're going to get their next bong hit, or thinking how they're going to get famous for something they never clearly thought about from start to finish, other than the fact these natives are going to be warm fuzzies. Hasn't anybody ever seen The Mission back in the 90s? Or any other movie that goes back into delving into the natives? It's not all flowers and sunshine and stroking bunny rabbits and skipping around in the fields. Cannibals did exist. Lucio Fulci and Dario Argento and Andrea Schnutz and all the other Gorefest directors weren't just doing this for jollies. This actually happened, and I'm not surprised if it's still going on today in some of the indigenous neighborhoods. Look, if you've seen one Eli Roth movie, you've seen them all. It's just not worth seeing. Honestly, if you want a good Gorefest movie, just go see Cannibal Holocaust, or Island of Death, or Hellraiser, or anything other than anything Eli Roth does. Just go to YouTube and look up all the death scenes from this movie. I'm pretty sure someone has uploaded something like that. That's all you need to see. Everything else, dumb, lame, and just not worth it. But if you want something good and mindless, don't say I didn't warn you. But that's all I got. Hardcore Henry would be probably next up on the list, and then hopefully I can drag Isaac out to go see a couple of movies for the blog because we're stagnating. But on that note, y'all, for the people on the Gulf side of Florida with Tropical Storm Colin, stay safe. People, everyone else, y'all stay cool. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace.